I'm live. Okay. Share. Copy. Let me just email myself the link again. Oh. We can go back to here. Copy. Try that now. Let's share entire screen. Screen number 2. Chat work. How about now? Do you see yourself now? No, I do. Cameron. Bad time to get up. That was funny. Yeah, let's let's put you right there. Okay. Sleeper. Nope. And now am I still blocking everyone? Let's pull you up. You went the wrong way. All right, can I get some comms in the chat? Anyone out there in the chat? Chat, are you here? Chat? Okay, let me move this over here so I get a view of the chat and everything. Bella says, Slay, I think we're live. I think we're good. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the second installment of the Fakey Pro Liver Dynasty Fantasy Football League live stream. This has been this was a hit my first go around. I love having everyone come out and support us in the chat. And it's a lot easier to talk on a live stream and show you guys what we're talking about and what we're looking at, rather than be on a podcast where it's all audio. And I know these are easier to listen to. On YouTube, this all has playback for you. Let's start off with our 2 guests for today. Both of them members of our league, both in opposite directions, headed in opposite directions. We have one, superstar contender this year with a great receiving core. Another one, with some draft picks and playing for 2027. We'll start with Cameron Coyle. Cameron, how are you doing today? I'm good. How was your day today? Everything good? You checking the Sleeper app? What was your any fantasy takes you got going? What do you got? Okay. Okay. I'll flip the script to Thomas. Thomas, how are you doing? Yeah, you ready to talk some football today? Yeah, let's do it. Hey, Beef saying no comms on Coil, or maybe you just can't hear him. Can you hear Thomas? Let's see. Hopefully this worked. This will be very not good if you can't hear either one of them. Can Bella hear Thomas? Bella, can you hear me? They're saying your volume is super low. Thomas' volume is super low, yeah. Or you could just, can barely hear him. Okay. See if I can turn my audio settings. Speaker. Maybe we could just talk louder. Maybe we could really be passionate about what we're talking about. As Cameron goes to get, okay. As Cameron goes to get a headset, let's jump into our first trade. We'll start with where we left off last time, recapping trades with we talked about that one last time. Right here, the Tyrone Tracy pick. We'll start here. The Cease gives away 2 seconds for Tyrone Tracy. This 203 is going to come back into play later on. Matt Leote, as when we get to the draft recap portion, the draft recap portion is going to take Cam Scatterbo. So basically, a dart throw on this backfield, and he picks up a free second in the process. I think Cameron and Thomas and I all agree. It's a good way to pick up some future capital. Any comments from the fellas there? Sheesh. Nice analysis. We don't have to talk about thirds. That's whatever. They matter. We're not going to talk about them today. This was a big talking point that I don't think was talked about enough in the league chat. This trade sending Mahomes for Trevor Lawrence, Evan Ingram, and a first. We could talk about this deal all we want, but there's a deeper thing right here, deeper trade potential. That was Leody about to give away Josh Allen, which that was very nobody saw either one of these moves coming. And Cameron, do you have any opinions? Like the Mahomes trade happened out of nowhere, and Leody was going to give away Josh Allen in this mix. I understand it's for his first back, but you should be. Yes. I understand where Lapoma was coming from, but James, I should say, getting Evan Ingram, adding another piece. Leody's offer has two quarterbacks in here, and we're in a one quarterback league, so that was a little bit puzzling as well. So yeah, I was expecting maybe a player back or a receiver, running back, something back. Let's keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Thomas, any thoughts on this trade here? This is a year deal. What trade are you looking at? Oh, sorry, no. My brother, I'm looking at the this trade that you were involved in for the 201, 203. Yes, we moved on. Sorry. We'll talk about that as we go on. Cameron, do you think if I hit share up here, I'll go share screen? Oh, okay, perfect. Good. Look at that. Sweet. All right, let's keep going, keep going, keep going. Cameron and I have a couple thirds, moving around some future capital. Nothing to really report on there just yet. And then we'll get to Rat and my trade once we start looking at the draft board. So I think we're pretty set up on how we got to where we are. Nothing else besides some free agency moves since. So let's take a look at the draft board. Let me zoom out just a little bit. The way we're going to do this is the three of us have discussed. We actually haven't talked about who our players are going to be, but we're each going to talk about one love and one hate from each round. The third round will include some free agents that were picked up, and I have a talking point about one pick here specifically, just value-wise and long-term projections. We'll start with the loves. Thomas, do you want to kick us off to start? As the Ramondre owner in this league, do you think he's dead? What is your stance on Ramondre? I'm gonna counter because I think Ramondre might be my highest owned player in best ball right now, and I'll pull up a tweet right here that I saw today. Currently, Ramondre is the RB38, which is absolutely fucking pathetic. That's really stupid. But Trevion, 700 rushing yards, 4.5 rushing touchdowns. Ramondre, 725, 5.5. So it's looking like a split backfield, and I understand the difference between 21 and 38 is, back end production. Best ball really matters in weeks 14 through 17 when you're in the playoffs, if you make it that far. And this doesn't account for any receiving. So we know Trayvon's probably the better receiver, probably going to be used more so as a receiver. But again, for two guys who are projecting out more or less the same to have a 17 spot difference in ADP, to me, it doesn't make sense. He's one of my highest owned running backs. Cameron, who is your love in this round? I'm going to pivot over to Thomas here as I look for another tweet. Thomas, two questions. I'll start off with the Justin Jefferson trade, how that was Marv plus the pick for Tet. Actually, we don't call him Tet anymore. He's T-Mac. He does not like Tet. For T-Mac, and was it also the pick used on Harvey, or was it the pick got used on Harvey was your pick, right? The pick Hunter's a part of this trade. Where do you stand on those three receivers versus Jefferson? Do you, looking back on it, do you think he got enough for Jefferson? Do you think he got not enough? What's your stance here? Because I like the three players he got back. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. It sounds like Thomas will be speaking on Travis Hunter come the hate list. Am I okay to hold off on some criticism? Yeah. Okay. We'll get there. All right, this is my time to shine for the love of the first round. And I think I already loved this pick prior to today, but I've been preaching for years. Brendan Valentine, please take a tight end. And I understand his running back room is shaky. And the fact that Colston Loveland was available at 110, to me, doesn't feel right in a full PPR league. I would have, Thomas, Cameron, and I have had a debate of who was tight end one. And in my other league, I took Loveland before Warren, but back-to-back, so it doesn't really matter. But I do have Loveland ahead of Warren following the draft. So the Warren pick was a little bit shaky. I love it. I love Colston Loveland, especially with Jonnu Smith getting traded today to the Steelers. Jonnu Smith, Cameron, if you could guess right now, what wide receiver in a half PPR best ball format is receiver, tight end. What tight end was he off the board? Tight end 6, which to me was very overpriced. I didn't have anything of him at that range. And falling to Pittsburgh with Freiermuth and being a run-heavy offense, they'll have 3-4 tight ends out there. Probably not 4, but 3 tight ends out there. Really want to run the ball, slow down the pace, play with some defense. So if he didn't take Loveland, his tight end situation was looking very shaky. So I think it's a great spot. Cole Kmet, see you later. It's the Loveland show. All right, sticking with round one. Cameron, let's talk about a hate now. Who do you got? Okay. How about this? Who do you think drafted someone or was drafted to a team that they shouldn't have, or maybe the team's not positioned to take a player like that? What do you have? Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think from a roster construction standpoint, from Brennan, he's got a mobile quarterback who can run, put up points. He's got receivers in a PPR format: Lad, Chase, Judy, Ayuk when he comes back. Doesn't he have another guy who's hurt? Godwin. Sorry, you know what I mean. He's got receivers that he can probably move one to two of them, get running backs. But if his running back two spot, and assuming Pollard is the guy still, whatever, if his running back two spot is a deficiency, I think that's a little bit better than having your tight end spot be a deficiency. I mean, Ertz, who knows how much time he has left. Jonnu, like we talked about, Cole Kmet, cucked. So I don't hate it. Thomas, let's hate talk some Travis Hunter. Let's hear it. Let's do it. Hmm. Cameron, any thoughts on that? I was looking for my next talking points. I didn't really listen. That's on me. Bad host over here. Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, a lot of the models that are projecting him to be a superstar stud, getting number two overall draft capital, is because he's a receiver. No, I think he was drafted number two overall because he could play both sides of the ball. He's generational talent. I get that. So a lot of people thought he will be a wide receiver. Then he comes out and practices, 5 straight days as a wide receiver. Trading camp beat writers are telling us this. And then he's doing one day as a corner. And everyone's like, oh my God, he's definitely playing wide receiver. And then GM James Gladstone came out and was like, well, he needs more work at receiver. We think he's polished enough as a corner, and wide receiver is a lot more intricate to learn. The position, the playbook, everything like that. So now I'm kind of walking that back a little bit. I don't think he's playing receiver that much. I don't project him for that much. I do think if he hits though at 108. He'll be a stud. I don't know. Very, very dicey. But I think as camp goes on, we'll get more news. I'm looking for a tweet or a conversation I was having with D'Lo in another group chat. Let me see if I can scroll and find it. We were talking, like in a redraft league, who's drafting Travis Hunter this year? And let's scroll back. Yep. That that's that's where my talking point is. One last thing on Travis Hunter. Through Underdog, I've drafted 27 and 32, so that's about 60 teams. I've taken him twice for a total of $6. I have him rostered at maybe 2%. I'm not touching him. He's going way too high, fourth round. He's falling to the fifth. I'm just not doing it. Not going to be me. If he burns me, he burns me. Yeah. Fair. 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 Let me talk my little shit right here about Kevin Murphy. All right. I know both of you have voiced your opinions about what the fuck happened with Caleb Johnson being selected here. I have a text from another anonymous league member saying, yeah, that was surprising. He has a stable, is word for word from the text that I had from this other owner. So that's right there, and myself included, a little frazzled. 4 people who didn't understand the pick. Luckily enough, I'm right after, and I was I had to pay some capital in a 2-3 return in 2027 and give him Austin Eckler his handcuff to B-Rob to move up one spot to make so that Cameron falls back to Matthew Golden, the pick that he should have made because he needs receiver. So yeah, I bailed him out. I had to. I do need a running back. He needs a receiver. I thought it was just pretty obvious. Words coming out of the Murphy camp that AI helped them make this pick. And Google searches just didn't say Matthew Golden was good enough. I don't know, man. I have Matthew Golden in another league. Actually, in that league, I have like 12, 13, 14 different rookies. So I didn't really want to double up Golden here. So I'm happy to get Caleb, diversify the portfolio. But that was just a brain dead pick, man. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on Kevin's approach or lack of approach? Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey. And again, similarly, yeah. Yeah. One last talking point on the first round. I want to ask you guys a quick question, quick 20, 30-second answer. We know there was a group chat of the first round, picks 1 through 9. Do you think, because the first round morning flew by 10 a.m., and of course I took my time, Kevin took his time, whatever, but do you think they actually had a group chat talking about who we're taking and kind of aligned it that way, that they all agree, you could trade into the spot, but I'm taking this person, and you think they knew? Yeah. Fair. That's a savvy owner. Savvy owner, like we saw with the Cam Scatterbo trade. Let's get into the second. Let's make this round a little bit faster and a lot faster in the third. Let's maybe not give so much intel, but let's talk about our loves first. Cameron, who you got in the second round? You can shout out yourself. Okay. The Canadian. Okay. Thomas? Was it- Hmm. I really don't want to give the kid 3 for 3, but I might. I might give him Jaden Blue. Looking at the rest of the board, I mean, picks Scottaboo through Harris, I understand where they fell. Besh as well. Tootin, I'm not the biggest fan of. I'll give it to Jaden Blue. I think Jaden Blue was a great pick. I mean, using a late second, I think Javante might be dust. Miles Sanders might be dust. They have a 7th round running back who, lucky if he makes the team. Jaden Blue's got a shot here. So I like taking shots at ambiguous backfields. Similarly with Sampson, he might. I think it's Judkins. We all think it is, but who knows? So I'll pencil in Jaden Blue. All right, Cameron, let's go to the hates. Who do you got in round 2? Okay. Do you think Thomas also having Tank Bigsby helps with Tootin, or does it hurt? Take a shot at both. Okay. All right, Thomas, you're up. Yeah, he's been falling quite a bit. My hate in round 2. Who do we want to pick on? Go Ayumanor. I mean, I understand the logic behind it. I don't know. Nobody really hate Besh. Maybe I'm good on round 2. Anyone else? It's not that I hate it, man. It's just camp reports aren't looking good, but we're still, 10 weeks away. Got it. Jack Besh equals Jamar Chase. All right, let's get on to round 3. Let's start with our loves. Cameron, who you got in round 3? Lovin. You can shout yourself out if you want here. Yep. Day 2, yeah. Round 3. Early round 3. 76 overall. Draft Pat Bryant. Wrong button. 74th. God fucking damn it. It's close. Okay. Yeah, no, I was in on Pat Bryant. Cameron, I was trying to trade in to get him at some point. I was doing anything with Thomas at 306. I actually asked him, like, what's the price in 306? I'll trade in. He said head, and I said yes. And then he just made the pick for Pat Bryant. I have the text to prove it. I said yes. I said when and where. So that's how much I believe in Pat Bryant. All right, Thomas, you're loving round 3. Mm-hmm. I'm happy that I took him at 302. I think his ADP was wrong on Sleeper. I think Jarquez Hunter. I think they drafted Blake Corum last year to be able to run both Corum and Kyron out there at the same time. But maybe Corum is just ass or something. I don't know. But they relied so heavily on Kyron. Kyron's efficiency stinks, and they needed another back. This guy is totally different than both of them. Explosive. If Kyron went down, Corum could step in, but I don't think that. I think Hunter has his own role. They drafted him for his own role that is not associated with either one of them. And I know Kyron's probably going to contract this week. I saw talks of an extension were happening. I still don't care because I think Hunter is in his own sort of role in that backfield. So I'm happy. Thank you for the shout out, Thomas. My love. We already talked about Pat Bryant. Ferguson I like a lot. 311 is very late. We're gonna look back on that one. Same with Mason Taylor, man. We were at Ethan. Shout out to Ethan Dowie for inviting us to his wonderful engagement party. JC was on the clock at 304, and I'm like, JC, man, who are his tight ends as we scroll down here? Goddard and Likely, right? I think adding Mason Taylor to that mix as a Jets fan too. I mean, it just makes sense. He shouldn't have been there. I had Mason Taylor going at 206 to Thomas Murphy, and then even sprinkled into Jim. So I thought that's great value. 304. All right, Cameron, let's go to the hates. Yeah, there's one fucking jumping off the screen. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were having conversations of Devin Neal early second. I know Thomas really wanted some early seconds this year for Devin Neal. Falls in the draft. Thomas, has your opinion changed on him due to this draft capital? Yeah, that's great logic. One thing, I'm going to go back to Jarquez Hunter. I'm going to talk my talk real fast. Do you guys watch? I know on YouTube they post it, but like inside the draft rooms, do you guys watch those videos? So I saw this one on Twitter, but then I actually went back and watched the Rams draft room. 2 direct quotes from McVay. There is no question that's who I want. That was my top player for today on Jarquez Hunter. And they traded up to get him. So, I mean, they only traded up 10 spots, gave up a 6th, whatever. But they still went up and got their guy. Top player for today. I don't know. It's very interesting looking inside these rooms. What were you going to say, Cameron? Yeah. Yeah. I disagree. There's a little bit more talk with the Rams that they wanted to come up to 8 to the Panthers, and they were probably going to take Loveland or Warren. Yeah, so I mean, taking the next available one at whatever that they like, you know. Yes, yeah. Right. Still, yes. I mean, he's still being taken in like the 14th rounds right now. And I was seeing tweets today, like moving off of John Smith. They're going to run the ball more. They want to run the ball more. I don't know. Where are we? Did we all give a like? Or what was? Oh, we're on to hates. Jesus Christ, I blacked out. Oh, Cameron, your hate was Neil. All right, Thomas. Yep, Thomas, you're up. Mm. Wow. I mean, shooting off the hip here with stats. Yeah, they traded 2/3 and 2 future thirds. Oh, I don't know. I mean, they picked up the 5th year on JMO. I'm not saying he is JMO. I'm not. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying. I thought I saw a tweet about. Yeah, here you are. This tweet of Tesla, his raw athletic score, relative athletic score. Have you guys seen this? Like, if and the 9.93 is like one of, if not the best scores athlete. Yeah. So I don't know. Just taking a shot in the third, man. All right, and I'll keep mine simple. What the fuck was Shador Sanders doing getting drafted? And what I mean, I just he could pan out. He also could not. I don't know. Good answer. Yeah, I didn't even fucking think of that. I knew he had Deshaun or whatever, and he's got Dak. Dak's good enough too. I mean that. Yeah, I mean, if Thomas didn't walk out of here with Pat Bryant, this would not have been good. Um, yeah. Is there anyone we want to talk about in free agency? And I got one more question to pose before we get out of here. Anyone in free agency that was picked up? Any? Okay. Mm-hmm. I like that. Yeah. 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 Why not? Thomas, anything? Yeah. Yeah. That's gonna raise one question. I think everyone understands the later in the draft you get, the less valuable the pick becomes. Until you get to fucking 312, man. Because if you control free agency opening up, I would rather have 312 than 309. You know what I mean? You control it. You control pickups. Again, if your team is in a spot to make these pickups and that sort of thing. If not, is what it is. So Thomas, good job claiming 312. Cost you Pop Douglas, but it was able to get you some pickups. So yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, let's finish up with some closing remarks. Does anyone have any quick, you want to call anyone out? You want to make any comments? Do you want to say shop's open? What do you got going for you? And where can we find your work if any of you guys have some podcasts you're dropping individually or some articles you're writing up, where can we find your content? Okay.
James had a great end of the second round, first running two top running backs, two guys, and I think JC is high upside steps later on, but free agency for a team that best player to have received. So those are the two guys that I reached out.
Thomas, any you want to call out JC again? You want to make any comments? Where's your mind at? Yeah. We'll take that one offline. We'll take. Oh. Aaron Jones is him. Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to where JC finishes next year. We view his team a little bit differently. And I will shout out future Miami Dolphins tight end Kyle Pitts. Your stock's about to go up real soon, brother. Anyone else on my team I want to shout out? Yeah, I mean, the likes of Aaron Jones, Kelsey, Mark Andrews, DJ Moore, Jordan Addison. I got some players on the trade block, so shop's always open. You guys know where to find me. Hit my DMs, shoot me a text, and we'll talk. We'll talk about the future picks, trades. And with that, we conclude this episode. I just want to thank again Thomas and Cameron for coming on, joining us, and we will catch you next time around. Alrighty, thank you. Wow.